Hello chums. I've seen a lot of comments in YouTube videos as well as a few posts on the GT Planet forums mentioning the newly added BMW E36 M3. Many people are having trouble controlling the car once it's been upgraded, finding that it's either unstable or that the car veers to one side even when the driver is not steering. So, is it broken? No. Well, what's with the title, you feckless muppet? Basically, the car is susceptible to a few different scenarios that can cause unpredictable handling. Several cars have this, and there's a few potential causes for this which I'll go over, and I'll also put some setups on the screen at the same time, for the car when it's fully upgraded, and at 600 and 700 performance point ratings. So, the primary issue is that the customizable suspension can be set too low or too soft. This causes the wheels to hit the arches, which, to oversimplify, effectively freezes the steering. For example, if you steer into a corner, the car will lean onto the outside wheel, and if the car is too low, the arch will touch the tyre, jamming it in place so that the steering can't be straightened until the front end lifts off the tyre. If you watch this clip, it looks like I'm an incompetent twat, but I actually have no control over the car. As soon as you start to turn, the car will carry on, even after you stop steering. However, this car is handling just fine. Setting the ride height to roughly 20mm higher than the minimum is recommended. Part of the problem isn't just with setting the ride height too low. As you upgrade the tyres, the car leans more because the tyres are sticking to the ground and are basically throwing the body of the car around more as you turn. So, with grippier tyres, we need stiffer suspension. When running slick tyres, it usually helps to set the natural frequency, or stiffness, to 3.0 or higher. This prevents the body from moving around as much, and prevents that inertia from unsettling the car. Another issue can arise from applying the wide rim option when changing the wheels on your car. As it says, this makes the alloy wheel wider, and it will stretch the tyres to fit. If you couple this with large 19-inch wheels, for example, this makes the car even more susceptible to the wheel arch rubbing that I mentioned before. This, along with the ride height issues, will only affect some cars, such as the Volkswagen Beetle, De Tomaso Mangusta, and the 1965 Shelby GT350 Mustang, to name a few. Other cars, meanwhile, can be fully lowered on the biggest, widest wheels with no arch rubbing issues whatsoever. The last potential issue is aerodynamics. This is a much smaller problem, but it's still something that can cause some minor instabilities. You may notice that the orange car in this video has the big ugly GT wing, and this green car has the much more attractive DTM style hoop, also found on the E36 Lightweight. Most people, naturally, will fit the hoop, which is perfectly understandable, but this does come with a drawback. The custom wing options, like the ducktails, the hoops, etc., will only add 150 points of downforce when maxed, but the big ugly GT wings will add 200. So, coupled with a front splitter and rear diffuser, the E36 with a hoop spoiler, when maxed out, can get 200 points of downforce at the front and 250 at the rear, where the GT wing can run 300 at the rear. This makes the car a bit too front biased at high speed on the hoop style wing, meaning the car can be a bit too darty. So, if you want to run the nicer looking DTM hoop, it can make the car a lot more stable at high speeds if you don't max out the front downforce. Typically, on rear-wheel drive road cars, having the front downforce roughly 100 points lower than the rear gives you a fairly decent balance. This is much less important on front and four-wheel drive vehicles, by the way. If you decide to run the car with the 1000 horsepower twin-turbo V8 engine swap, you might expect it to fire you into the nearest intensive care unit within the first minute, but it's actually not too bad. Tweaking the setup towards understeer can help, and if you're having trouble putting the power down, adding ballast weight helps. Since it already has a 50-50 weight distribution though, you don't need to direct that ballast weight anywhere. Simply add it to the middle and it will help with traction. So that was a quick run through of the BMW M3 and its various suspension related foibles. I hope this helped you make your car more stable and be able to enjoy it a bit more. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and ta-ra!